courtship, they define it as a fornication. So let's talk about if Islam do practice courtship, or if two people got each other, they just get married instantly, or suddenly they just get married. So let's talk about, if is it allowed for two people to stay together unmarried, and is courtship practiced in Islam faith, and what do you call it?
Okay, thank you very much. Let me begin by saying, because of this courtship, we have had results. And these results, they tell us from the studies that were done that many unplanned pregnancies resulted from courtship. And as a result, we have many unplanned marriages that resulted from the fact that the woman was now pregnant. And to legitimize this, the two had to be rushed to marry each other. And after that has happened, that has gone on to lead to divorce. It is said that in research that was done, 90% of marriages that are as a result of unplanned pregnancies result in divorce after 5 to 6 years. And after we have looked at that also, then we see we have answers to the problems that we may be having in the community or the society, which is the problem of divorce, the problem of children growing up with no both parents, and a lot of the issue of GBV also, because there was no love, there was no compatibility in this marriage. All those issues that have to be looked at in terms of compatibility before the two can get married, they were overlooked. So that is why, if we want to have solid marriages, we must make sure that the footing is also correct. And we have to address issues right from the beginning. So your question is very specific, which is courtship as a preparation ground for marriage. Because normally when people enter into courtship, every sane person will be saying that I'm looking for somebody that is compatible to marriage. So they say, if I don't date, if I don't court, then how will I know whether or not this person is compatible or is not compatible? Islam says that dating and courtship, it is allowed on condition that it is done following the guidelines of Islam.
Can you mention few of those guidelines?
From the few guidelines of Islam is, from the beginning, Islam forbids intermingling of sexes.
Okay.
Where you find the young boys and the young girls, they are interacting, they are mixing, and they even take a step further. They are confined in private spaces together. You find a young man and a young woman, they are in a room alone. And Islam tells us that when two of the opposite sex are alone, then the third one is the devil. He is now going to whisper some thoughts, some evil suggestions to them. So the issue of intermingling is not allowed in Islam. And again, in our interactions or when we go about, when we are moving around, Islam emphasizes the issue of lowering our gazes. Unfortunately, today, both men and women cannot lower their gazes. Our eyes are always wandering about looking. It's like the men, when they come out of the house, they are making an intention to say that, I hope I am going to, my eyes are going to set on a very beautiful woman who is, like this and that, and I will approach her and she is going to accept whatever propositions I'm going to give to her. And the ladies, when they are setting out of their homes, they are also setting out with the intention that perhaps I'm also going to find a man who is going to chaff me, and I am going to agree, and he's going to have this and that quality and characteristics. So when they are going out of their houses, their eyes are wandering about. They are throwing them left, right, and center, up and down. They also look back. If you look at people, how they are walking today, they are not focused on where they are going. So Islam tells us, when you left your house, where were you going? If I was coming here to Univen, I must lower my gaze and make sure that I concentrate on going to Univen.
Yes.
Why? Because my eyes may fall on things out there that may distract me from fulfilling or from achieving my objective, which is getting here to Univen. There are people who have had accidents just because somebody passed by and their eyes were stolen and they were driving. In the end, they were involved in an accident. So we must lower our gazes. And another thing that we also have to understand from the guidelines of Islam is that when you do the dating and the courtship, there are different ways of dating and courting. They are what we call cultural courtships or dating. I think I had past and Vondo mentioning about the traditional way, the olden days, what would happen. And the parents were very much involved in that whole process. Islam tells us that we must not embrace this Western method of courtship and dating. Why? Because it is far removed and far-fetched from our own values and norms. It is pro-Western values and norms. But unfortunately, today we have people who look down upon their own cultures, upon their own values, upon their own beliefs and their own faith, and they think everything that is Western is the best. And everything that is local is not good, it's backwards. But I heard people saying local is lekker. So we ought to be proud of who we are and embrace ourselves wholeheartedly and be unapologetic about our faith. You see, when we are as believers, we must be the guardians of our faith. We must be like an advertisement of our faith without any apology. And when people see us, they must see our faith. And they must see the beauties, the positives, including the negatives. And where we have the negatives, we must look at how we can correct that within the confinements of our culture. So Islam says, the Islamic way is, Islam does not abolish the cultures of people. In your culture, if you have a way of courting which does not go against any teachings of Islam, you are free to go ahead with that. Okay. But here is one way that I can say when it comes to courtship that Islam approves of is the issue wherein the parents are involved.
Okay.
You have parents actually making arrangements for marriage for their children. You know why it's important to involve the parents? When we are young, we are immature. We are not mature.
Yes.
And we are going to make wrong decisions out of ignorance. And sometimes we don't know what is important in a marriage. If you ask the youth out there, what are you looking for in a wife? Have the things that they are looking for, they are not
Pointless,
important for the well-being of a relationship or a marriage. So it is very important to include our pastors. And I would say when we are talking of this topic, that pastors, parents, play an active role in this aspect when it comes to the youth. Why? Because they are immature, they are young, they don't know. So parents must be involved. Now, what you will find common amongst the Muslims is the parents of this boy A and the parents of this girl C, they will talk amongst each other. The parents of the boy may come to the parents of the girl and say, you know, our young boy has become of age, and we're looking for a partner for him, and we saw you have a daughter here.
Yeah.
Would you be glad to give your daughter in marriage to our boy? And they can discuss about this. It's not final. These two are then given an opportunity to meet each other and talk to each other and establish other important aspects of compatibility. But their meeting should be in a controlled environment.
Not closed rooms.
No. If we leave them to closed rooms, then we may end up opening another gate that we are trying to close.
Yes.
And we don't want other things that we said have happened to many others, and we are trying to prevent them. So that is how we are supposed to do. One of the best ways that we can go about when it comes to marriage arrangement for our children. I know today there is a plethora of methods. We also have online dating sites. We have online, courtship and dating coaches. There are people who are doing match mixing online. So what young people, especially you, the educated ones, you are too lazy to go and follow these practical steps. What you do is you just go online, you post a picture of yourselves, your biography, your likes, your dislikes, and all this, and there is somebody who is moderating all this, and then you are merged.
So is it wrong to go for online dating?
It has got its own negatives, and one of the negatives is that people are not so honest.
Yes,
and you see, when we also post our pictures, there is this filtering. The person, you realize that the person I saw versus the person I met.
I'm meeting now. It's too different.
Nowadays there are people who are ordering. I don't know if it is appropriate, but they say when you what you expected versus what you get, they say they always equate it to orders from this other
shops,
shop, this from China, this Temu, to say what I ordered versus what I got.
I'm asking because I'm on online dating. I'm kidding.
I get off there. Better come to me, then I become the assistant in that regard, because I think my methods are more practical. If you don't trust me, I think Pastor Oman Piswana also and Pastor Wombara,
they can assist.
They can assist. But this one of online dating, I don't think that it is safe and it is correct. You will find that many people have cried as a result of that. And I also have my presence in these online platforms. Let's look at even Facebook. You will find in your inboxes people who are coming to you and they are advertising themselves, and half of the times they are lying. And we have people who have actually cried because they fell for somebody who portrayed themselves as somebody else. When they got to know that person, they realized that the person was completely different. And can I tell you something, that it would be very unfair of me to leave the podium without having said. When we were growing up, our parents used to tell us, let me say it in Shona. They used to tell us that Rora naive matongo. Marry each other from your neighborhood. Why? Because you can get proper character reference of that person. You know their families. You know their qualities, what they are known for. You can prepare yourselves for getting married to that person adequately. Unlike when you just marry to somebody, you went to Joburg, let's say you have a meeting there, you went to Joburg, you come across this guy and he's charming and he's very, some of these people, they can market themselves very,
Exactly.
very good. You fall for him, you start communicating, he goes maybe KZN, you come back here to Limpopo, you start communicating with him, you don't know what he's doing there, and he
Yeah.
doesn't know what you
What
are
I'm
doing
doing,
here,
yeah.
and maybe you plan another meeting again, you meet several times, but you are just meeting for a few minutes or few
Yeah,
hours,
yeah.
and then the next meeting, you decide to be intimate.
Yeah.
Only now when you are pregnant, you now form those statistics I started with.
Yeah.
And when you say, okay, let's get married, you realize that this person that I got married to was the wrong person to get married to. And it's too late now. There is a child already, and there is a relationship, and now you have even reduced your market value. So we are saying that before you start going miles away, start searching from your
Local.
own neighborhood.
Yeah.
Local is lekker.
Yeah.
A thief that you know,
I
a
got
witch
that
that
word.
you know is better
better
than
than
a
the
stranger
witch,
that you
yeah.
don't know. So please let us try to marry from the same cultures also. There is
Same
something that
faith.
we always say when it comes to marriage. Islam talks about 5 things which are known as for compatibility. And I will mention in running,
Yes, please.
there is religion.
Yeah.
When you get married, please make sure that you marry from your own faith. Why? It will avoid many problems in the future. And again, marry somebody who is from your similar class. Even if you are poor, raise up together.
Yeah.
Don't go for, unfortunately, women of today and the
They
young
go for
girls of
money.
today, they are marrying for money. You ask them, but why are you with that person? Do you really love that person? You say, no.
I love the
Whoever has
money.
got money is lovable. No matter what you are, you might be the most not so good looking person in the world, but as long as you have money, you will have women lined up for you.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's money. But know that it's not money that you are going to be spending your 24 hours together with.
Yeah.
You are going to be with a person,
With
a
a
person
person.
who abuses you, a person who does not respect you, a person who is going to bring more women for
Yeah.
you. And you can't do anything because that person has got money.
Yeah.
And also social status. If it's good for kings and kings to marry each other, for princes and princesses to
Yeah.
marry each other, and the commoners to marry each other.
Each
Why?
other.
Because we understand our norms and
other.
our values. So this is very important. Why? Because it is going to make it easy for us to coexist as husband and wife.
Does Islam forbid someone to marry or to do courtship with someone from another faith, or it's just advisable that marry from Islam faith as an
Okay,
Islam
thank you
person?
very much. Before I answer that one, let me say somebody will tell me after I have said all these compatible issues, or
Yes,
say marry
I
each
see,
other from
yeah,
this, somebody
from
will
same
say
faith.
that no, I know somebody who was a commoner and got married to a
rich
to a
person.
princess,
Yeah.
and everything is okay for them. I know somebody who is like that. When we talk of these things, we are saying that the probability is very high of that marriage not working. It does not mean that totally the marriage is not going to work.
Because of beliefs. Yeah.
No. So if you marry within people that you are compatible with, the probability of that marriage working is very high.
Yeah.
That's why we are citing these issues.
Well,
now, coming back to your question, and your question was,
does Islam allows someone
marrying
to
from
marry
different
from another faith?
faith.
Yeah.
This is very interesting.
Or you encourage?
Okay, this is very interesting. Why? Because there are Quranic verses very clear. And the Quranic verse says that as for a man, it is allowed for a Muslim man to marry a Christian woman. Christian women are known as, even a Jewish woman, they are known as people of the book.
Yeah.
We say they are people of the scriptures. They have scriptures that they have.
Basics, yeah.
And they are respected in Islam. And secondly, a Muslim is not allowed to marry a polytheist. No matter how much her beauty may dazzle you, you are not allowed to marry a polytheist.
Okay.
And thirdly, a Muslim woman is not allowed to marry a non-Muslim man.
Oh, because they will absorb
Because
from...
normally what happens is what happens in Islam.
You
Our
follow...
marriages are patriarchal.
Yeah.
So if a Christian woman gets married to me,
Will follow Islam.
she will be under me.
Yeah.
I will not be obliged to convert her, but the dictates of that marriage will be coming from the
Islam perspective,
from the husband.
Yeah.
So that environment will be workable. But when a Muslim woman gets married to another person, that person is the head of that family. And what he says goes, which means that that woman is losing. A Christian woman who marries a Muslim man does not necessarily lose her faith. She may maintain her faith. But a Muslim woman who will marry a Christian, if that Christian is a real Christian practicing and who is hard like Pastor Umbara, she is going to end up being a Christian. And she has lost Islam.
Now. Yeah, you want to absorb people.
Yeah, so we have to protect our own.
Yeah, so there's someone who asks, what is polytheism? I think it's worshipping many gods.
Yeah, a person who have poly means many.
Yeah.
You know, when you are doing mathematics and science, any shape which has got many sides, it's poly.
Yeah, it's someone that sent a message.
Mono means one, yes. So we have monogamy. You know, in scientific counting, mono, di, tri, tetra, penta. That's why you have this monogam diagram, then tetrawatt and hexagram, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's poly, it means many. Many gods. Anyone who has got who worships more than one God.
Yeah. Okay. No, I
for example, let me give example of people who have who worship more than one God, like the pagans or the Greeks. They used to have many gods. That they had God for everything.
Even
they would have a God for rain, a God for love, a God for fertility, a God for war. You know this. You know sporting clothes. You have Nike. Nike is a Greek god for sport. So when you are wearing Nike, it means you are advertising another god of other people.
Even Buddhism, you choose your own god.
You see? So from those people, we are not allowed to marry.
Yeah, thank you so much, Imam.
Did I hear the question from the Christians? This same question?
No.
Are they allowed to marry from other faith?
No, I didn't ask that from Christian. From Christian faith. Pezi amshire so in FM. And kwa todo jewa funzi wo mbara pa ro minute sigat ngoro shika para baro rich kufuka vakautendo la Christianity ya kautendo rum. Vafunzi wo mbara ri ravere se mafungo a courtship na faith and set kana